I come back and I have like a little bit of twang, but
All right.
yeah.
Well, let's get started.
Awesome.
Well, everybody, welcome to JAX Career Chats. We're here on Friday, May 15th. I'm here with Danielle Meier. Thank you so much for joining us today. Danny is the creative manager for design in JAX Creative, and that's one of the departments here at the Jackson Laboratory that, well, it involves a lot of different things, and we'll get into a couple of those. But why don't we just get started? You could tell us a little bit about, who you are, Danny, and how you got here.
Yeah. So I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky, or a suburb of Louisville. Outside, I used to live in a place called Oldham County, and
Nice. Have you ever been to the Mammoth Caves in Kentucky?
I have a couple of times.
I went there when I was little on vacation. That's a cool place.
They're so spectacular, and
So
they probably turned off the lights for you and everything, and you got to see how dark it was. Yeah.
It's the longest cave in the United States or something like that, right?
Or like the biggest cave complex or something like that. It's, yeah, they're
fun fact about Kentucky if you've never been.
Yep. And then the other thing that Kentucky is known for, especially Louisville, is the Kentucky Derby. So, which was postponed this year because of COVID, but hopefully it will happen in the fall. So, which is a big celebration in Louisville.
That's the one with the big hats, right?
Yes, the big hats. And what most people don't know if they're not from Louisville is that it's actually a 2-week celebration. So they start 2 weeks early. They have this big, party called the Thunder over Louisville, where they have all these fireworks and over the Ohio River. And then afterwards, they have 2 weeks worth of races. So they'll have boat races, balloon races, and various other things that bed races that people can take part in. So it's a lot of fun.
I'll put it on my list for my next trip to Kentucky.
Yep.
So you were born there, went to high school there, and then you ended up coming to Bar Harbor at the College of the Atlantic for undergraduate. How did you find your way out here?
Yeah. So actually, I was born in Minnesota, but I moved very quickly to Louisville after I was born, and then grew up there. And then when I was looking for schools, I was trying to find schools that would give me the opportunity to study a multitude of different things. And so I was really interested in art. I was really interested in psychology and math and education. And most of the schools that I was looking at for colleges were like, you're going to have to quadruple major. And I was like, I can't be in school until I'm 35. That would be terrible. And so I went to I ended up having this book that was like the Princeton Review book, 300.
I remember.
Yeah. So it was like 300
copy.
Yes. And it was like 345 schools for a smart student. And so I'm very thorough in that I underlined everything that I liked about every single school and highlighted everything that I didn't like. And the place that had the most highlights was College of the Atlantic. And so I went and I visited, which is right on an island in Maine, Mount Desert Island. And I just fell in love with the campus. It was a small school. I got to really hang out with my professors and really connect with them on not just a, academic level, but also on a social level, which was really lovely. And I studied all of those things that I was interested in while also being able to graduate in 4 years, which was really important to me. So they had an open curriculum called human ecology, where you basically studied humans and their relationship with their social, technological, and environmental environments. So
wow, that's a very unique thing. And just to be clear, it's everybody who goes to school at the College of the Atlantic has this same major.
Yes. So the way it's sort of seen as an umbrella. Human ecology is considered to be the umbrella for all the other types of academic majors that you would have out there. And so when you go to school there, everything interrelates and everything coordinates with all of the different types of studies that you have. And so you're able to kind of take a course in education, see how that course in education relates to your understandings or your excitement about conservation biology. So you're thinking about how can I connect this one course to another course, and how do those relationships make me satisfied and fulfilled? So it's a very unique philosophy.
Very cool. Interesting. That's a very cool kind of a undergraduate institution. So
Yeah.
while you were there, you got to work on specific art and design projects?
Yep. So I first started out at COA really interested in math education. So I really wanted to teach math from an artistic standpoint, because I felt like that visualization was one of the things that really helped me in understanding mathematical concepts, specifically in geometry. And I was studying a lot of math anxiety. I was doing a lot of psychology. And then I ended up taking in my third year a graphic design course, and it totally changed my perspective on what it is that I wanted to do. And so I found this interest in psychology of design, and this interest in the mathematics of design and education that's built in design. Like the fact that you're actually, when you do design work, you're teaching people through the design that you create. So you're communicating through visual communication, and you're educating through that visual communication. And so I was super excited about moving in that trajectory, and that's where I still exist today. So
cool. I love how you said that, teaching people, educating people through your design. I'm really passionate about that topic too, and I think it's one of the most effective ways that I've been able to learn myself as well. It's a cool thing to observe. And then
and I think the other thing that like, the psychology behind design is really interesting as well, because you've got you can pick anything from a color to a typeface to a texture, and you're going to feel a certain way as an audience member of what it is that feels to experience a piece. Like if you say, I want to design something that looks like it's in the middle of a Western, you already have an idea of what type of typeface you would use, what type of color you would use, what type of texture you would use. And we use that as designers to manipulate and educate the audience. Yeah.
So cool. Well, would you tell us a little bit more maybe about some of the maybe work that you've done, just so we can maybe see a little bit?
Yeah, do you want me to pull up my portfolio?
Yeah, maybe we could just take a look, and you could walk us through maybe some of these concepts and, sort of things to pay attention to.
Sure. So let me go ahead and play. So this is a sampling of my portfolio. And it is basically sort of a smattering of work that I had done while I was employed by my alma mater at College of the Atlantic. So we had done anything, or I had done anything from a guidebook, which is usually the type of material that you get to recruit students to come to the college, to maps about the island. That's the island that that COA is located. We did folders. I did a campus map.
Cool.
Yeah, and infographics. COA is a very small school, so there's certain things that exist that are committee based, anything from recruitment projects. This particular project are email campaigns that we sent on behalf of the college. And so these were all sort of designed a bit by me or directed by me. We would have my students that I would employ as work study students also concoct some of these email campaigns. So you'll see underneath the middle one, that one was actually designed by a COA student. And so it was really nice because you had students communicating with prospective students from their point of view of what it was like to be at COA. And we would also offer, Spotify playlists for people too, so they could listen to, or these high school students could also listen to the same types of music that college students were listening to, which was always quite fun.
Cool. I see the way you're using the different fonts in this one as well. Up at the top, there's kind of this simpler, kind of more spaced out font. And then, down at the bottom, the College of the Atlantic is in its kind of own handwritten, kind of more rusticy kind of style.
Yes. We were kind of going with like rugged but academic at the same time. And so we wanted this texture to the academic that made it feel like it was, you were going to get gritty while you were at COA. You were going to be in the mud and dirt, but you were also going to learn some really great concepts at the same time. And that there was this passionate group of students that were also underlying throughout the education who were really excited to be there and learn, and also have just a great experience while they were there. So yeah, which, you know, you can see in other types of forms of their communication as well. So this was that particular one was a email campaign as well. I've also done a lot of local work. So these were independent boutiques. I also did quite a bit of work with the Abbey Museum, which is also located in Bar Harbor, in Maine. And I've done anything from maps to branding work to posters for the Native American Festival. I've also done work for exhibit design. This in particular is this is a Malaga Island exhibit that happened at the Maine State Museum. And so I did the execution for a lot of these graphics in this particular exhibit, which was all talking about Malaga Island, which was a controversial subject on the coast of Maine, where there was an island community that was basically relocated to various insane asylums and asylums all over the state in the early 19th century or 20th century, where these individuals were an interracial community, and some neighboring islands didn't like that interracial community, and so they paid a lot of money to the Maine government to get them relocated, which was a very dark history of the state of Maine. And not the 2 governorships ago, the governor actually apologized to the descendants of Malaga Island, and offered, I think, reparations for that community. And so this was part of that reparations, was this result of this documented history.
Wow, it's amazing to be able to work on an exhibit like this. It's so meaningful and historical and important. Really cool, Dani.
Yeah. And so I've done a couple of other sort of branding projects with exhibits. So this one was a piece called Emergence, which was about root clubs. We also had Wabanaki guides. I've also done some work with the local Seal Cove Auto Museum, and doing some planning of where all of these autos go in a very big warehouse, and how to explain that thing. And then I also did some work with SteriPen, which is a portable UV purification device. And so I did anything from packaging design. While I was at SteriPen, I reduced the packaging footprint by about 85%. So it was using a lot of material. We were basically, you know, shipping these or creating these packages that used a ton of material, and they practically were padding these really durable devices on essentially like a pillow. If it's a durable device, it doesn't need to be padded on, you know, a pillow. It can actually hold the integrity of the box itself. And so we were able to reduce the packaging by about 85%.
Wow, it's really cool to be able to have an impact like that.
Most definitely. And then we were able to kind of create that footprint of the shelf a little bit smaller, but a little bit more impactful too, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's really, really cool. Well, we have a comment shared by somebody watching, Julie. She wanted to let you know that as a medical illustrator herself, that you just echoed so much of how she came into her career as well. Thanks for the insight, Danielle.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
I think a lot of people, you know, get passionate about the way that you can basically teach with visuals.
Yeah. No, you can create so much feeling and so much communication between just sort of putting stuff on a page or putting stuff into an experience. Yeah, a lot of my work at JAX is really trying to hone in on what is the experience that you have when you're connecting with JAX material. And so I've been at the lab for about 6.5 years, and it's been really rewarding to sort of watch our shift in our morphing of our designs as we move forward and innovate and get excited about new trajectories forward for the lab. So, yeah.
So you mentioned just a little bit about what you're working on at the lab now as manager, but you do a whole bunch of different things, it seems like, besides
Yes.
just
Most definitely. So I work with a lot of different stakeholders at the lab. So what you're seeing right now is we have people in development and advancement that look for things like invites to get people excited about JAX and what it is that
the Main Street Science Fair. That stuff.
Yes.
Did a beautiful job on that, Danny. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. So yes, we have, we also work with education. We work with people like Emily, and we do a lot of just work around, is it still sharing my screen?
I think it finished.
Okay, perfect. So we do a lot of work with educations to help support your group with any graphics you may have or campaigns you may have. So we'll work on what the look and feel of a campaign is, like the Maine State Science Fair. We'll also work with researchers, which I'm sure the scientific illustrator who was mentioning in the comment section also does as well. So we help do supporting graphics for grants and scientific journals, as well as any other communicated efforts that are used by the faculty. We also do general communications on behalf of the lab to talk about what are we doing in the face of COVID, or what are we doing in various forms of philanthropy in terms of helping out our fellow groups all over the state or all over the country or even internationally. So
really cool. Lots of different impactful avenues.
Yes.
So I guess if I was, a student thinking about getting into this career path, any sort of advice or, what you might say to your previous self to make it easier to get here?
I would say that the most important thing that you can do when you are thinking about a career or making a decision that may have a lot of weight in terms of what it is that you are going to be doing for the rest of your life, experiment. Try to take classes and try to find places that will allow you to experiment with different things that you're interested in. I was very lucky in that I got to go to College of the Atlantic, where I could take classes in education. I could take classes in psychology. I could take classes in math. I could take classes in chemistry and art. And I was able to find the things that were underneath those items that brought it all together into a career that I really, really love. And so it's important that when you approach your education, especially as like you're going into college, don't give yourself a definite answer of saying, I'm going to do this. This is going to be the thing that I'm going to know for the rest of my career. Because when that may or may not work out, it can be devastating to figure out where do you pivot and where do you go next. The most important thing that you can do is be flexible and start to understand and be introspective and understand yourself of what it is that you like to do. Because once you're able to figure out how that will influence your career, the more adaptable you'll be for changing when that happens. So I know I was. It's really, I feel like we put a lot of pressure on, especially high school students, saying like, you've got to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
Having a name for what it is that you're going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're not even like, we don't finish maturing probably until we're 25, 26. And by that time, you might already be done with school. And so how are you supposed to tell when you're in a state of maturation what it is that you want to do with the rest of your life? So it's more important that you experiment and you figure out what it is that interests you throughout the way and how you might be able to relate those things together.
Really good. Awesome advice, I think.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I guess I would just ask if there's anything else that you might want to share with our viewers at this time.
I don't know. I think there are things that you have to learn to in resiliency as you go throughout your education. There will be boyfriends and girlfriends that will break up with you. There will be medical things that will come out of nowhere. The big things that really matter is how you pivot and how you change direction when that's happened. So the more that you can be resilient, the better. And seek out the resources that you need. So
yeah. I like that. Seek out the resources that you need. And if you don't know what you need, keep asking.
Yes, exactly. So.
Well, we have a follow-up question if you would like to answer. From Julie. She asks about the department there at the lab. So is it open for any graphic needs that arise?
For the most part, we are. So we help supply a lot of the graphic needs all over the institution. So we do anything from, as I said earlier, education to development to, the PIs or the researchers. We help support HR. We help support a lot of people all over the lab. And so we typically will have project kickoffs. We have a project management system that we all work within. And so we request that people, when they have a project, they put in a request. And as part of that request, we'll have a kickoff and we'll sort of understand what your needs are, how we might be able to meet those needs. And then we'll plan out a project from there and assign it to a couple of designers or a designer. So.
Really cool. So it's a lot of different services provided, and you don't say no to a lot of things as far as my experience goes.
We don't. And if we do say no, we want to help solve it some other way. So we're usually, we try to have an education component for our group as well. So if we can't give you exactly what you're asking for, we will try to teach you how to get what it is that you're asking for. So if we can't give you full on the resources, we will build the resources for you to be successful. Yeah.
Really cool. Well, I guess with that, I just want to say thank you so much, Danny, for giving us some of your time this Friday. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and really, really cool to learn about, what your work is here at the Jackson Laboratory and how you got here.
Well, it's been so much fun. Thank you, Emily. This has been great.
Awesome. And thank you so much to our viewers, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
That was